would you like, since our school is starting on Sunday, would you like to do the candle lighting tonight? Oh, there you go.
Coming.
Okay. And Mark Noodleman is going to be our ark opener tonight. But if anybody else would like to volunteer, I'm sure you wouldn't mind the help. You're good for tonight? Okay, Mark's good for tonight, so be sure to talk to me if you want to do it in the future, okay? I see you back there. Hi. Hi. Okay. Oh, isn't that nice? Beautiful, beautiful. So page 100, oh wait, are we going to do Hebrew first?
That would be lovely.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it, Robin. Do people call you Cantor Robin?
No.
No. Okay.
Just Robin.
Just Robin.
Okay.
Just Robin.
Ready?
Shalom Aleichem. Everybody does, right? Shalom Aleichem means peace be unto you, or a greeting to you, right?
Lovely.
There you go. So Joanne is going to lead us on page 120 in the candle blessing.
Go for it.
You wrote 121.
That's going to be the English first.
Yeah, the first prayer. As these Shabbat candles give light to all who behold, so may we, by our lives, give light to all who behold us. As the brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu And your translation?
Blessed are you, Adonai our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with his vote, commanding us to kindle the light of Shabbat.
Thank you.
Thank you, Joanne. 138. On page 138, we have Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi to you, our beloved, who we call the bride. The faces of the Sabbath, we receive you. Isn't that interesting? It's not just the face of the Sabbath, but it's the faces. Penei Shabbat Nekabelah. We receive you. Do you know why we have the bride of the Sabbath?
Tell us.
She brings us our extra soul, neshama yetera, okay? And that's why maybe you feel a little bit lighter on the Sabbath. Maybe you feel a little bit happier because of your extra soul that the bride of the Sabbath has brought. Robin Bevakasha.
That's lovely. I was just taking notes. Thank you very much.
Oops, I didn't mean
Are we ready?
Shabbat Nekama 138. Shabbat Nekama. Verse 1. turn now to page 142, and I bet you don't have the extra pages that we had last week for the extra verses. Oh, if we can find them in short order, that'd be super duper. And was anybody not here last week? Okay, so what you'd like to know about this is that I wrote a couple of verses for Shalom Aleichem in English. They're not translations. They're the spirit of Shalom Aleichem, and I wrote the words. So I figured, we're Americans, we speak English, and it's nice to have words in your own language to express the beautiful picture that we want to paint of the Sabbath. So it's the regular 4 verses and then the 2, this thing, it's so fancy. All right. So everybody, it's page 142. And thank you, Joanne. Yes? Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, Malachei Elyon. Melech Malachei Hamlachim, HaKadosh
I'm sorry. I mean, I was just reading all of the lyrics.
I know, but you did the same melody for the 3rd verse as for the 2nd verse, and that's not the way it is. It goes A, B, A, B, A,
Okay.
B.
A, B, A, B, A, B.
Okay.
Got it.
I'm so sorry, Robin. I'm
No.
so sorry, but
That's
honestly,
fine.
I didn't know where you were, and I couldn't continue.
Well, I truly understand.
You know what? Let's all take a lesson from this, and it sort of relates to what I'm going to talk about our Torah portion this week, and it's all about how we're all part of being the leaders, okay? It's not I'm the only leader and you're the followers. No, no, no. We are Jews. All Jews need to know how to be the leaders, okay? So you need to know that we have A, B, A, B, A, B.
I got it now.
Thank you, Robin.
Yes,
And by the
thank you.
way, Robin didn't do anything wrong, okay? It's only a matter of we have to iron out our little things that we don't know about. Right, Ira? That's right. And believe me, there are a few. Oh, goodness gracious. Do you think it's different a little bit from either place, one to the other? I think maybe. However, Shalom Aleichem, the song, the prayer, is sung in every Jewish celebration of the Sabbath, no matter what your origin. And I'm talking about Ashkenazi, Sephardi, Romanut, which is something, another kind, Mizrahi, it doesn't matter where you're from, always Shalom Aleichem. So, may I suggest that we just start on my last two verses?
I can't wait to hear them because I loved them last week. I'd like to hear them again.
Okay, excellent. So everybody has their page with the English verses, and that's where we're going to start, and it's going to be A and B.
Got it.
Shalom Aleichem, and to all our friends as well. Welcome, angels on high. Come and join us at our Shabbat table, share our cup of joy. Come join us singing, let your spirit soar with us. Together we will rise tonight. When we gather, fellowship and joy abound. Love and peace are filling our hearts. Okay, we continue with our welcome and announcements. Ira, Ira's coming to announce the announcements. Right. Oh, good luck with that.
I'll just tilt it. Good Shabbos, everyone, and welcome to Shabbat services in Temple Beth Emet of Burbank. And I have a confession to make. Doing Shalom Aleichem ABBA has driven me crazy for about 10 years.
Oh, well, it's in the past. It's water
But
down the street.
I'm only the temple president and ritual chair, so what do I know, right?
What do you know?
Okay, well, services tonight are led by Rabbi Janet Bieber and our music director, and sometimes we call her cantor, Robin Kreisberg.
Yay, Robin!
Josh Speck is back behind the computer screaming to everybody out
Hey,
there on the
Josh.
internet.
Woo-hoo.
Welcome back. Here are the announcements. Here's what's happening. Religious school begins this Sunday at 9 a.m. Religious school registration forms are available on the website. Rabbi Bieber will be here to meet with parents and students and discuss the upcoming year. We'll also be having an open house from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. So bring a friend and introduce them to Temple Beth Emet. Help us grow our temple family. This Wednesday, September 25 at 7 p.m. is book club. We are reading The Long Way Home by David Laskin. Next Friday, September 27, we are combining Shabbat and Slichot services. And how are we going to do that? Well, we don't know yet. We haven't talked about it, have we? But we have a whole week to figure it out. But next week we'll be changing the covers on the Torah over to the high holiday white covers. And so be here for that. Now, do you know anyone who is unaffiliated and wants to go attend high holiday services? Invite them to join us. Our tickets are $250 for all 4 services, and that will be applied fully to membership dues. We continue to collect non-perishable food for local food banks, new and unwrapped toys, no stuffed animals, please, and teen items for Children's Hospital. Also remember to designate Temple Beth Emet of Burbank, not Anaheim, as your charity of choice with your Ralph's Community Rewards program. We'll get a small bit of everything that you buy. And as temple tradition dictates, did I forget anything? Wow, 2 weeks in a row. For those of you who participated in Home Again LA this past week, thank you. Our next rotation is in December. Those who haven't, please join us in December. It's a great experience. Good Shabbos.
Good Shabbos, thank you.
Can I just say,
Sure.
because I'm anxious to remember. If you haven't read the book, we're going to be discussing the assimilation of Jews through the armed services and where you were with one. And if you have
Okay. We're continuing on page 146 with the Baruch Hu, and we open the ark. You may be seated as the ark is closed. Page 151. The reading is okay. There is one who sings the song of his own life, finding everything within himself. There is one who leaves the circle of herself and sings the song of her people. There is one whose voice rings with the song of humanity, hoping for the highest perfection. And there is one who rises even higher, uniting with all creatures, with all words, filling the universe with song. Nevarech, let us bless. We continue with the Shema. Oh, okay, we're going to have to talk about that. Okay, the Shema, which is on page, wait a minute.
152 and 153.
Right, but I see that I did the wrong reading in English, but that's okay. We'll continue now with the Shema on page 152 with Mark opening the ark again. Yeah, Mark is performing prayer aerobics. Right, as we all are. Okay. Thank you. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed. And we continue with the Ve'ahavta on page 154. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha ubechol nafshecha ubechol meodecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi metzavecha hayom al levavecha ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אדוני אלוהיכם אמת. You know, do we leave it open for Mi Chamocha or do we close for Mi Chamocha?
Close.
Okay. Just for those of you who may not know, some people don't get up to say the Shema. That is very surprised you were.
Wow.
Because it's a reform convention, okay? The Shema, it says, right in the Ve'ahavta, oh, Valley, let's just take a little look at the English, right? It says, we're on page 154. It says, recite them when you stay at home, when you are away, when you lie down, and when you get up.
Mm-hmm.
So literally, you can say it in your bed at night, and a lot of people do.
Yeah, they do.
They don't get up and open the ark. No, no, no. Okay?
That's interesting.
The Shema is meant to be said in whatever position you're in. Now, I will honor the traditions of your synagogue.
Yeah.
But it's a little hard to get used to, okay? So I'm just telling you, I'm not trying to make a big deal out of nothing. It's just in different places that is done differently. And literally, what I said is true. It's right there in the paragraph. Did you see the Ve'ahavta? Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing. So many instructions are right in the Torah. Today, in the Torah portion, I'm going to show you so many that Moses told us exactly what to do. You'll see. And we continue now on page 158 for Mi Chamocha. Oh, excuse me. I see on page 156, we have a reading about all this we hold. Would you like to join me?
Mm-hmm.
All this we hold to be true and trustworthy for us. You alone are our God, and we are Israel, your people. You are our sovereign and Savior, who delivers us from oppressors' hands and saves us from tyrants' fists. You work wonders without number, marvels beyond count. You give us life and steady our footsteps. You performed miracles for us before Pharaoh, signs and wonders in the land of the Egyptians. You led your people Israel out from their midst to freedom for all time. When your children witnessed your dominance, they praised your name in gratitude, and they accepted your sovereignty. Moses, Miriam, and all Israel sang to you together, lifting their voices joyously. And now we do exactly that on page 158, Mi Chamocha.
1, 2, 3, 4.
you got all those complicated words, as in yabba bye bye bimba, because those are the most important ones, you know, like lie 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 and yeah bye bye
I
and
love them.
and all of that,
That's right.
right?
Yep.
The soul of our people, yes sirree. Okay, we have on page 161, at the top of the page, everyone together, let there be love and understanding among us. Let peace and friendship be our shelter from life's storms, Adonai. Help us to walk with good companions, to live with hope in our hearts and eternity in our thoughts, that we may lie down in peace and rise up, waiting to do your will. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom, aleinu ve'al kol amo Yisrael ve'al Yerushalayim. Amen. Veshamru is found on page 162.
Ready? Yes.
Shabbat vayinafash, veshameru bnei Yisrael, hashabat, lasot et hashabat, לדורותם ברית עולם. So it's been a wonderful and interesting week. I hope a good week. We had a little tragedy in our home. We lost our older, very old dog, but he was attacked by a coyote. And he was sitting on our front porch, 1 foot from our front door. The coyotes are very brazen right now. I want you to really be careful. Don't let your dog out in the backyard by himself, okay? Promise. We made a mistake. But who knew that that coyote would jump over our 6-7 foot fence and come right up to our front porch? Who would have thought that? Right in the middle of the day, 10 o'clock in the morning, by the way. So I'm just telling you this because I care for you and your dogs, and I want you to have them be safe. Even it's annoying as you know what, because you gotta watch them like a hawk, and you can't let them out by themselves. Okay, promise. Okay, so how about your week? Does anybody want to share anything about your week? Yes, please.
Well, I'm
And
Dave
first
Nathan.
of all, what's your name?
I'm David Nathan. I'm the owner and operator of David's Horse Hall here in Burbank.
David's horse, what?
Horse Transportation Services.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I had a very interesting week. I was up in the town of Gilroy,
Oh.
and
Garlic capital of the world.
I was in the garlic capital of the world, and I had a delivery to make over in Watsonville to a Christian school. So it was a one-day drive up to Watsonville. Then I had an overnight layover in Gilroy at a very nice hotel. And then I had a very easy drive coming back down the 101 through San Luis Obispo and the Visions and back into Glendale.
Okay.
So it was productive.
Okay, very good. Very good. I assume you were hauling horses along the way.
That's what it was. I had one going out I had to deliver in Watsonville, and then,
Yeah.
of course, by the time you drive 380 miles, you're pretty well bushed. By the way, I also do play a little bit of pipe too on the side.
Pipe organ. Oh, nice to know. Good to know. Okay. Okay. Anyone else? Would you like to share? Go ahead.
Well, this isn't to share, but this is just an announcement since I was talking about the temple supporting Hala. On Saturday, October 19th is a fundraiser that Hala's having called Empty Bowl. So if anyone is interested in it, they can see Diane Goldstein. It's a very nice, very easy, very casual event. And this year it's being held at the Burbank First Methodist Church on Glennis. But it's one of the fundraisers that Hala has.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. Thank you. Anyone? Okay, yes, Diane?
We had a wonderful time at LA. The first night that we were hosting was Kathy and Margaret. And the second night was the board. It was Ira and me, Donna and her husband, and then Barbara.
Oh, my.
And then
Wow.
the next night it was the sisterhood. So Joanna and Louie, Irene,
That's great.
Okay. So there were many people who were involved, and that's one really good.
wonderful, they all had a great time.
Yeah.
And,
Well, it's also a beautiful cause. It's a wonderful thing.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well said. Okay, if you would like to put down your prayer books for a few minutes, we're going to talk about the Torah portion. We're going to talk about the book. Oh, yeah. Torah. Torah is the central. It's the thing that gives us so much. It's unbelievably chock full of information, of history, of words that are so meaningful to our tradition. Okay? Okay. So, this week, I could have chosen from maybe 5 different things, but what I did pick about is to talk about Moses and what he tells us. What makes a leader? What makes a leader? It's the ability to tell a particular kind of story, one that explains ourselves to ourselves, okay? It gives power and resonance to a collective vision. And when we have a collective vision, when we have a shared identity, we also have a sense of purpose as a people. You know, we as human beings are really kind of DNA wired to be storytellers, right? Whenever you meet somebody, oh goodness, you know, you begin to know their stories. And people do tend to tell the same stories, you know. Everybody's got a little cadre of maybe 8 to 10 that they do tell, but every time it's a little different, and that's kind of the way things are with human stories. Time is not only, oh, 1 second. Okay. So, our stories tell us who we are. We begin to learn not only who we are, but what we're called upon to do and how we could and should possibly behave. Imagine if kids grew up with no stories. They'd be a bunch of wilde Chaya, right? That means wild animals, because they would not know where they came from, and they wouldn't know what you're supposed to do when your mom catches you stealing all the cookies. And what would happen when you ditch school, or whatever it is that children read about in their stories. But in our Torah, we have a chance to find out about the big questions. The questions like, who are we? Why are we here? What is our task in life? These are all best answered by telling stories. Everything we do as human beings, we think of in a story. For instance, when you dream, right? You don't just dream, you dream in a story. Or even daydreaming. Or when you're remembering. Or when you're anticipating what's going to happen, you tell yourself a story, right? Say you've never been to synagogue before. Oh, what's it going to be like in there? Are we all going to be dancing all day? Are we going to be singing? Are we going to be learning? Oh, a little bit of everything. Okay, so all of these things require stories. And you know, the Torah, it's a bunch of stories on purpose. It's not a theological treatise, right? It's not, oh, the philosopher said X, Y, and Z. No, it's a story, one story after another. Abraham and Sarah's stories, Moses' stories about what Mesopotamia was like, and his growing up in the palace of the Pharaoh, and the Israelites wandering in the desert. Think about it. Judaism is less about exactly truth as a system, more like truth as our story. We are all part of that story, and that is what it is to be a Jew. We find our actual truths through our stories. So Moses retells our story not only to us, but to the next generation, and we're likewise enjoined to do that very same thing. Moses told everybody in Deuteronomy all of the things that God had done for the ancestors, for the previous generation. Also, Moses said the mistakes that the other generations had made, as well as God as our liberator and Moses as the supreme storyteller, but he is doing this in a way to instruct us how to become the storytellers of our people. So imagine bikurim. Anybody ever heard that word? It's not a word you hear a lot, but it's talking about the first fruits. Now picture where the Israelites are. They're on the eastern side of the Jordan River. They are looking over into the Promised Land, but they haven't entered it yet, and the Temple Mount has not been revealed, where the mount is going to be, and the temple has not been built. No. But Moses is telling the people of Israel, when you are going to be in the land of Israel, after you have planted all of the crops, you're going to make the first harvest of the first fruits, and you're going to put those first fruits in a big old basket and haul them up to Jerusalem and give it to the high priest. And there wasn't even a temple yet, okay? He was painting this picture for them. He was telling them what it's going to be. And also, in our Torah portion, is not only the fact that we will bring the first fruits, but when we do bring those first fruits, we're going to make a confession of the first fruits, a vidui bikurim. Can you say bikurim?
Bikurim.
See, that's not so hard, right? Bikurim. That represents the first fruits, and vidui is confession. We use the word vidui on Yom Kippur. We call it the confession, when we say all the sins of the community. But in this case, it is a confession about your origins, about who we are as a people. But each person individually must say this paragraph. And here it is, word for word from our Torah portion. Just if you ever want to look it up, it's Deuteronomy chapter 26, verses 5 through 8. I'd be happy to tell you in the Oneg Shabbat. Okay, so here's exact quote. My father was a wandering Aramaean. He went down into Egypt and lived there, few in number, there becoming a great nation, powerful and numerous. But the Egyptians ill-treated us and made us suffer, subjecting us to harsh labor. Then we cried out to Adonai, the God of our ancestors, and said, and God heard our voice and saw our misery and our toil and oppression. So God brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand and an outstretched arm, with great terror, with signs, and with wonders. Imagine, you have to go up to the high priest, hand him your first fruits, and say this entire paragraph to him. Okay? What does that make you? Thank you. Louder. A storyteller, he says. Yes, absolutely. Moses was teaching us all that we all must be the bearers of the story of our people. So here, for the very first time, the retelling of the nation's history becomes an obligation for every single citizen of the nation. Again, it's called Vidui Bikuri, the confession made over the first fruits. Jews were commanded to become the nation of storytellers. So this is an amazing, remarkable development. Never before in the history of the culture of that time had people been enjoined to remember, to feel as a religious imperative for the entire people to become. So it's amazing that throughout the book of Deuteronomy, in Hebrew we call it Devarim, comes to the command to remember. And here are just a number of random sentences in the book of Devarim. Quotes, remember that you were a slave in Egypt. Remember what Amalek did to you. Remember what God did to Miriam. Remember the days of old. Consider the generations long past. Ask your father and he will tell you, your elders, and they will explain it to you. So I bet you all know about, remember that you were a slave in Egypt. Everybody knows that because of Passover, right? What about Amalek? Who was Amalek? Does anybody remember? See, Amalek is our only true enemy. And in our past, when the Hebrews, after they had come over the Sea of Reeds, the Red Sea, after having been chased by Pharaoh and his army and been triumphant on the shore of the sea, just as we sang Mikalopa tonight, they said it, who is like you, O God, among the mighty, right? Then they began making the trek across the desert. Of course, who was in the back? In the end, they were the slower ones, the older ones, or the mommies with the babies, or the little toddlers, or the animals who maybe were a bit sickly and had to go a little slower. So guess what Amalek did? They hung out in the back of those people so that they could pick them off one by one and steal whatever they could steal. And they did this over and over and over again during the trek through the desert. So when we think of our enemy, we don't think of the Egyptians, funny enough. We forgave them. After all, when we went down to Egypt, they accepted us. They gave us where to live. They made our son Joseph into the man who ran the entire country because he knew what he was doing, right? And he saved the whole area. He invented silos. Okay, too much information. So, but the point is that we are enjoined to remember. So in that one paragraph of 5 sentences are 6 things. 6 things. It's so concise. It's summarized so packed so tightly. You probably didn't even hear all the 6 things. So here they are. Number 1, we are talking about our patriarchal origins. Number 2, we are telling of the emergence of the Hebrew nation out of the history and not out of myth. This is very important. When you think of, for instance, the Greek culture, you have to think of Olympus, of the gods, right? Of all of those stories, pardon me, made up. I don't know who believes that they're true. I don't mean to offend anyone, but you know, they did say that Zeus birthed his daughter Athena out of his mind because he thought of her. Don't you wish that would be true? Wouldn't that be nice? No pain at all. Okay, so anyway, but no, we were birthed out of a nation, out of true events that happened. After our emergence of history, it says that we were slaves. It also says we gained our freedom. And then, of course, it talks of the acquisition of Israel. And then finally, the 6th and final thing, the acknowledgement of God throughout all of that stuff. You see, time is not just cyclical, right? It's also the arena where the changes that happen to our people have occurred. In the arena of cyclical history, also an arena of change. So, Jews were the first people to find God in their history. And the first to think in historical terms. I mean, it is pretty darn amazing for Moses to tell us what we're actually going to say word for word at the temple when we bring the first fruits in the land of Israel. I find that fascinating. And there they are, just a bunch of rabble on the edge of the Jordan River, trying to have enough courage to go in and conquer the land, the promised land. And Moses is telling them to think through about what it's going to be like, what their life is going to be like. Also, that's a tactic to give strength to the people too, and to distract them from their very difficult upcoming task of conquering the land. So guess what? There isn't even a word for history in Hebrew. Is that crazy? There isn't even a word for history. You know how they say history in Hebrew right now today? Historia. That's it. Okay? But what they called it were Divrei Hayamim, which is sort of a loose translation of Chronicles. It literally means the things of every day. Okay? Also, there was another word that comes from the word Zachor, which is memory. Memory. Okay? Now, when you talk about memory and Chronicles as opposed to history, what do you think of when you think of history? I don't know your names back there, but when you study history, what are you thinking of? I gotta get my history textbook, right? And it's all about something that happened to somebody else over there a long time ago, far away. Did it relate to me? I don't think so. You know what I'm saying? No. We're talking about, oh no, ours isn't history, ours is Chronicles, and ours is memory. And they have become part of our memory. And so we tell that story, and we have become part of our people by the mere fact that we become the teachers and storytellers of our nation. It's a very beautiful thing. So throughout the book of Devarim, each person, that's true of all Judaism, each person must see themselves as if they personally escaped Egypt, right? Because it's not they did it, they were at Sinai. No, we were all at Sinai. Absolutely, we don't really know what happened there, but we were there. Throughout the book of Devarim, which is Deuteronomy, Moses warns the people no less than 14 times, and that's a whole lot, okay? He reminds them not to forget. If we forget the past, we will lose our identity and the sense of direction, and what will follow? Surely disaster and a lack of focus and no idea what we're here to do. So we are commanded to remember, and also, again, commanded to hand that memory down to our next generation. Each one of us must remember. Each one of us is a guardian of that story and memory. Moses taught us, as you see, to be a nation of teachers, a nation of storytellers. You know, just to finish up, our country follows right along with our tradition. We have a covenantal government here in the United States of America. And when I say covenantal, I mean the covenants consist of what? The Constitution, that's right, the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, you know, all of those things that tell us, oh yes, everyone is supposed to have equal opportunity, is supposed to be recognized as you are equal to you, are equal to you, regardless of age, gender, or affect, okay? So, in our country, when we have the presidential monuments, we have words that the president said that they're enjoining us to create and have in our lives. At Jefferson's memorial, it says, we hold these truths to be self-evident, right? You know what follows. Roosevelt says, the only thing we have to fear is fear itself, right? Lincoln said, with malice toward none, with charity for all. You see, each memorial tells a story and builds that story from the covenant that we all signed on to, which is this United States of America's ideals. If the United States has a national story, it's because it is invested and created by the idea of a covenant. You know, who came here? It was the Puritans, right? The Puritans who saw themselves as the new Israel bound by covenant. It was not a society of rulers and ruled, but rather one of collective responsibility, hence the phrase, we the people. So by making the Israelites a nation of storytellers, Moses helped turn us into a people bound by collective responsibility to one another, to the past and the future, also to God. By framing a narrative, a story that successive generations would make their own and teach to their children, Moses turned Jews into a nation of leaders. Moses got to be part of the story, thereby turning us into a nation of guardians of our own story. Also, a nation of leaders. Amen. Okay. And we continue with our service. In 371, which is the Misha Berach. 371, if there's anyone in your life that you want to remember right now who needs some extra healing prayers, please think of them now. No. So we are now in the middle of page 371, Misha Vera. Help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, because I don't see that. Okay. All right, so we are raising up on page 166. We're going to open the ark. This is the prayer called Amidah. Basically, we are silent praying, page 166 to 180. Take a moment, find a paragraph that is very meaningful to you, or pray your own prayer to God at this moment. the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable unto thee, be acceptable unto you. Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Adonai, my rock and redeemer. Amen. We turn now with the ark still open to Aleinu, which is on page 586. It's the second paragraph. Aleinu leshabech Adon hakol, lateken leotzev reshit, shelo asanu kegoyei aratzot, velo samanu lebishmechot האדמה, shelo samchem pinu bahem.
We turn the page.
Yeah, page 588.
And the top, Shahuna Tosh. Sorry.
Sorry.
Shahuna Teshavai, Ve'ose Oretz, Umosha V'Kvarem, Hashamayim V'Ma'or, Shechina Tuzo, V'Gad Heimer Ami, Eloheinu,
Thank you, Robin. Thank you, Mark. Yes. Yes, now we say, oh, did you want to leave it open for Mourner's Cottage? We leave it open for Mourner's Cottage, and we say at this time, tonight, we remember those tonight on the anniversary of their passing, as well as those we have lost in recent months. So, we have Don Goldstein, Joyce Feinzilber, Michael Liebegott, Martha Wertlieb, and Jerry Engelberg. The other list is what? Oh, and Sherman Rose. Anyone else? Don Rafferty.
Barbara Williams, we lost this recently.
Barbara Williams,
Yes.
a member,
A friend.
friend. May she rest in peace. And we turn now to page 598. Are there any others? Okay, we turn now to page 598 and read the prayer of glorification. It says nothing about mourning or death. It is the mourner's Kaddish. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei Rabbah, le'alma yivrach hirutei v'yamlik malakutei, v'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei dechol beit Yisrael, v'agalav b'zman karib v'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'lalmei amaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpo'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh, Yitadar v'yitalel yitalal shemei v'kudisha v'rihu. Le'ela min kol berchata v'shirata, tushbechata v'nechemata, gamiran ve'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlom rabba min shemaya v'chayim, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom v'imrama, hu yaseh shalom. Aleinu kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Kol Yoshvei Tevel v'imru amen. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay. Oh, I see what's happening here. The whole darn thing is having a change of heart. Not at the moment. Yes, please. Okay, and we now have the priestly blessing before our final hymn of Oseh Shalom. If you like to know, it's on page 603. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. Everybody.
Kein Yiratzon.
May God bless you and keep you. Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'chuneka. Kein Yiratzon. May God's light shine upon you. May God be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elecha ve'asem lecha shalom. Kein Yiratzon. May you feel God's presence within you always, and may you find peace. Let us say Amen.
Oseh Shalom.